Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a more casual video than I normally do. I was going to do a video on the whole Obamagate situation, but in the middle of it, my recording software just kind of stopped, and I was like, I'm not re-recording the whole thing, so I'm doing this here today. So, here we go. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each individual question. I'm going to make a quick comment on it and move on since there's 46 questions, and I want to get it done fairly quickly. So let's get into it. Most services currently provided by the government should be provided by the community or the free market. I don't really know. Like, what services are we talking about? Are we talking about like welfare? I mean, sure, why not? Most services currently provided by the government should be provided. Didn't I just? Okay. In time of crisis, safety becomes more important than civil liberties. No. No. Absolutely not. If our civil liberties are ever infringed upon, if even one person's civil liberties are infringed upon, then all of our civil liberties are infringed upon. Absolutely not. I believe Ben Franklin said something along the lines of those who would sacrifice safety for freedom is an idiot and deserves neither. So I'm going to go with that one. Traditional values and culture should be preserved. Absolutely. Only heterosexual marriages should be recognized. No, I don't really care, honestly. Victims of crime should not be punished. I don't really know. I kind of want to, but then again, I don't really care, so I'm going to go neutral. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Absolutely not. The government has no business going through what I Google. Stay out of my stuff. Drug possession should be a criminal offense. What do you define by drugs? It entirely depends on what you define as a drug. Do you find caffeine a drug? Because it is a drug. Do you find, are we talking about cocaine or heroin or marijuana? Because those are completely different things. You can't lump marijuana in the same basket as heroin and cocaine, because one, it impairs your judgment, yes, but the other two will kill you. Weed has never killed any individual. Look it up. Weed on its own has never killed anyone, so I'm going to remain neutral on that one. Animals deserve certain universal rights. Absolutely. I want my puppy to be happy, alright? I don't have a dog, but if I do ever get one, he's going to have all the rights in the world. Absolutely. An individual's body is their own property, and they should be able to do anything they desire to it. Yes, but I'm assuming talking about the abortion question, and I do not quite agree with that all the way, so I'm going to say yes, but I think there's something behind the question, if you get my drift. Land should not be sold as a commodity. No, what? That's the point of land, to be bought and sold, so I disagree. Only the government can fairly and effectively regulate organizations. No. The government can. They can do it, but they're not the only one. Society requires a strong bureaucracy in order to function. Not a strong, it doesn't have to be crazy strong, but it should be there. So, I'm going to kind of disagree. Nudism is perfectly natural. I don't have a strong opinion on nudists. Like, I don't care as long as you're not doing it in public. Like, if you want to walk around your house naked, I don't care. It's not my business. It's not hurting me, so I'm going to remain neutral on that one. Multiculturalism is bad. It's not bad, just won't work. We tried this in Europe. The only place where multiculturalism has seemed to work is here in America. And even then, it's not very multicultural, where you have America was built upon dozens of cultures from all around the world, and mostly Europe, coming to America and becoming a one major, like, forming a singular culture. That's what America is, and people assimilate into that culture when they immigrate. At least that's the idea. But multiculturalism, if you look at Europe right now, it has not worked. Even the current Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, she has admitted that multiculturalism hasn't worked. So yes, multiculturalism does not work. Exploitation in developed countries is an outdated term. as the struggles of the 1800s. Capitalism, what exploitation, right? No, exploitation is happening today. Look at China, what they're doing with the Belt and Road Initiative. Of course, exploitation is still going on. So, yeah. It's an outdated term. No, it is not an outdated term. The state should be abolished. Nope, because we do need a, unfortunately, we still do need a state. Class is the primary division of society. Absolutely not, because if you take a rich person from New York and then you have a poor person that lives about a block or two away, they have a lot more in common with each other than a poor person in New York and a poor person in Poland. Whether it be lots of factors there, whether it be education, whether it be employment, or whether that be language, because language is a huge barrier for people. So class is not the primary division of society. So it is not. So strongly disagree. Alternative forms of taxation, such as a land tax, sales tax, or complete tax abolition, are preferable to having an income tax. That's right over my head. I'm going to skip that. The government should not set a minimum wage. Disagree, there has to be a minimum wage, or else companies will absolutely screw over their workers. It is human nature to be greedy, thus our social system should take that reality into account. Yeah, humans are pretty greedy, so I'm going to agree with it. I don't like that it has to be that way, but it just does. A person should be able to worship whomever or whatever they want. If you want to go worship my grill outside, if you want to go worship my pair of glasses or my wallet, go right ahead. As long as you're not bothering me, absolutely worship whatever you want. One cannot be moral without being religious. That is wrong, because there are many people with great morals that I agree with that are atheists, and I have no issue with that. So that is completely false. Autonomy of body extends to minors, the mentally ill, and serious criminals. Minors and the mentally ill, those people need to be protected, so they can't just like start cutting themselves with a knife like that. We just can't simply allow that to happen, so I gotta disagree with that. Economic inequality is a major societal problem. Uh, Somewhat, yeah. I definitely think there is an issue when we have like lots and lots of homeless people and then like 3 or 4 rich people. Definitely something needs to be done there with the economy, but I don't think it's a major problem. It is an issue, but it's not our biggest problem right now. So I'm going to disagree that it is a major problem. It's still a problem though. Charity is a better way of helping those in need than social welfare. It depends on the circumstance. It depends, like in a small, tightly knit community, charity from like a church or something will be a lot more effective than the federal government. But if you're in a larger city, even then it can. But it really depends on where you are and who you are and what your circumstances are. So I'm going to remain neutral on this one. Reparation of nonviolent dissent is justifiable. No. Just because I don't agree with what you're saying doesn't mean that I can come in and suppress you from saying that. So it is never justifiable. Strongly disagree. A significant degree of currying. I'm having a mental breakdown with this word. Is necessary for evil. Is a necessary evil. I don't even know what that is. Chorus. I don't know. I'm going to remain neutral. The death penalty should exist for some certain crimes. Yes. Parents should hold near absolute power, accepting abuse over their children as they are older, more experienced. And somewhat, they need to have a lot of most of the power, but it doesn't mean they could just walk all over their kids. There has to be some input from the kids. Being a kid myself, I would know. So I'm going to somewhat agree. I'm going to say disagree that they need to have absolute power. The harder you work, the more you progress up the social ladder. Almost absolutely yes. There are some situations where no, but for the majority it is yes. An economy based on private property is the best way to run a society. I do believe so, but there should be some private. There should be some public property out there. It can't be all private, but also can't be all public. So, but I think mostly private is better. A democratic and or libertarian society is generally preferable to an authoritarian one. Absolutely. The police as it currently exists was made to protect the people, but to uphold the status quo by force. As it currently exists depends on where you're talking about. Are you talking about a small town in like Wyoming, or are you talking about New York City? Because those are two different places, and they both have way different equipment and funding. I think the idea of the police is to protect and serve. That's what they have them on their cars usually. So I do agree with that. Gender is a social construct, not an. Oh, no, it is not a social construct. Get out of here, commies. Get out of here with your social justice warrior crap. Banks shouldn't be private, but state publicly owned or replaced by credit unions. I'm a part of a credit union, so I don't really care about banks a whole lot, but I don't really think they should be private. I'm going to remain neutral on this one. All productive properties should be nationalized, help in collective ownership. Okay, Stalin, I'm going to disagree with you. Sometimes it is right that some government may spy on its citizens to combat extremists. No, do not spy on me at all. A government that provides for everyone is an inherently good idea. In a utopian society where everyone is nice and everyone is happy, like if we're in like a Star Trek universe where the government provides you with all your basic stuff, that sounds wonderful, but in practicality, it just isn't feasible in the 21st century, at least as of right now. The time that I'm recording this here in 2020, it's just not going to happen. It simply isn't. We just don't have that. It just isn't a good idea for right now. I mean, in the far off future, maybe, but right now, it absolutely would just fall apart within a couple months. So, disagree. Laws based on cultural values rather than ethnic ones or ethical ones aren't justified. Uh, yeah, I don't think the culture of the. I mean, I get it probably will. The culture of the area will have a massive effect on laws, but I think that ethical ones are probably ethics probably should guide people in making laws. So yes. Communism in its idol is an ideal that can never work in practice. Yes. State schools and state-owned media are a bad idea because the state can use them to push its own agenda. Yeah, they very easily can. State-owned media, I have no respect for because you're basically a puppet of the state. You're going to push out that state's propaganda. State schools, like public schools, I don't have an issue with, but it is a little it is easy for a state to push its own propaganda. So I gotta disagree with this one here. LGBT individuals should not be allowed to adopt children. No, there are a lot of kids that in foster homes. If someone is willing to adopt them, if they have good moral values, and if they're good people, I don't care if they're gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. That makes no difference. If they're willing to give a child a good home and a place to live and raise them right, then I have no issue with it. So, strongly disagree. The government should be less involved in the day-to-day life of its civilians or citizens. Absolutely. Freedom of businesses is the best practical way a society can prosper. Yes, businesses should be free to do just about anything they need to do. Educating, oh, we're almost done. Educating people so they can make better decisions for themselves is preferable to enforcing them by strict laws. Yes. Usually education works better for the majority of people, but there are some people that will get out of line, and unfortunately laws become stricter because of those people. But I do think that if you can educate them when they're younger, they'll be less likely to make those bad decisions in the future. And finally, two individuals above the age of consent should be able to do whatever they want with each other if they agree to it, even if it makes me uncomfortable. Okay, I don't care. As long as both people are over the age of consent or at the age of consent, and both are consenting, if both agree to what's going on, go right ahead. As long as you're not doing it in public, if you're doing it in your own home, go right ahead. Knock yourself out if that's what you're into. But I don't care. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. And that is where we are. And I'm pretty much a libertarian. I'm somewhat more progressive than I expected, honestly. So I'm a little more on the progressive side, but I do tend to lean conservative on many things. But I guess overall, that's actually not too bad. I am definitely against authoritarians. That makes about sense. That's a little more libertarian than I remember being. But that checks out. So thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Go ahead. I'll leave a link to this in the description. So you can go do this for yourself, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.